What's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. On today's episode, we're going to be working on a really special car to me, and that is the C4 S4. If you guys haven't seen any of the other videos I've done on this car, check it out now. It's a pretty unique car. It's powered by a 5-cylinder with a huge turbo, and generally it's not really a car you see every day. It kind of has that Audi Group B type 80s feel to it. Obviously not as fast, but it's a super cool car, so check that out now. I'll leave some links in the description. Today kind of marks the beginning of a culmination of some wild ideas that I had for this car, and I spent some time doing some research, and I basically want to make an STW style car. So basically emulate a little bit of a race car, some of the components of that. And I'm not sure if we'll take it to the track, but we are going to try to make it as track oriented as possible. For those of you who aren't aware, STW was a super touring car championship back in the early 90s, and the regulations included 4 doors, large family car like this, less than 6 cylinders, and 2 liters of engine capacity. So obviously this car doesn't really qualify just because it has 2.2 liters, but it is a 5-cylinder, so I think it's close enough. So the first thing we're gonna do is start making it look like a race car. So I wanna wrap the car and make it look like the Audi 80. Obviously, since the base color of this car is red, we are gonna invert the colors. So here's a Photoshop of what it could look like right now. So we're gonna be doing aero work, we're gonna do a lot of weight reduction, and then further down the line we'll work on suspension, brakes, and a little bit more power. I do wanna put a standalone in here. That's one of my top priorities. In terms of weight reduction, this car is heavy. From the factory, it's about 3,700 pounds. With the lightweight exhaust, seats, and wheels, and no cats or anything like that, I think we're probably sitting around 50 pounds, maybe 3,600. That's what will be the focus of today. We're gonna start removing components that we no longer need. But first, what I'm gonna do is do a little walk around, introduce you to the car, and show you how it sits right now. Let's get started. So here is the outside of the car. As you can see, it looks like a pretty standard sedan. We'll definitely have to get more aggressive wheels on there. We have Porsche 993 brakes on there. Here is the big inline 5 with a Garrett 3071R turbo. Got the tubular manifold on here, big wastegate. Overall, pretty clean engine bay. You definitely optimize it a little bit more. This is really where the uniqueness from the car comes. Like I said, I love how it sounds. Alright, so now that you know what we're working with, we're going to get started by removing a lot of the interior components, get rid of the rear seats. The heat and AC both don't work on this car currently, so we're going to yank that as well. So let's get started. I think we did pretty good here. I think we'll call it for the day. As you can see, we have pretty much everything in the rear removed. I still need to remove the headliner, and we'll probably do sunroof delete at some point. As you can see, the trunk is nice and empty, no amps or anything like that. So like I said, we can move on to other items, but I'm pretty happy with what we got accomplished today. We are back in NC with the S4, and we have a few more items that we want to take care of for this episode. And one of the things that I want to install is this Audi 80 competition spoiler that I have here. And I also have these fiberglass STW riser replicas. So these basically will just elevate the height of the spoiler. So we're gonna get those installed and work on a few more things. but I'm gonna just test fit the spoiler right now and worry about the paint or wrap or whatever later. Well, we have our spoiler mounted and I think it looks pretty sweet. It isn't going to be the final installation just because we're going to have to take it off and rewrap the trunk in silver as well as the corner panel. So I wasn't too concerned with scuffing up the current vinyl or anything like that. For the final install, we're also going to put some sort of rubber insulation underneath just to reduce vibration as well as any type of water getting into the trunk. So now that we're done with that, we can move on to removing the AC. All right, so we have the car pulled up in the garage, and the first thing that we're gonna do is pull off the remnants of this bumper. And then after that, we're gonna work on getting this piece off and putting the car into its service position so that we could pull out that condenser and then all of the AC lines. All right, well, we are finally at the point where we could begin to remove the actual AC compressor and all of the lines and stuff. And the first thing we need to do is release the tension on the serpentine belt. And it's super easy on this car. You have an auto tensioner right here, and you just put in a half-inch drive socket, rotate it, and then once these two holes line up, so these two, just stick an Allen key through it to hold it there. And then as you can see, we have a belt with a ton of slack that we could remove. All right guys, well, we are pretty much done. We have all the AC components removed. We have the condenser, the dryer, compressor, all of the lines. So we are pretty much done under the hood. Now we just have to install a shorter serpentine belt and then button everything up, and then we should be good to go. As you could tell, the car is working with the new serpentine belt. All of our AC components under the hood are uninstalled. So before we wrap up the episode, I just want to go over the car and point out our future plans for each of the items. I'm really excited about this project. Press that like button if you are too, but let's just do a quick walkthrough. There is a ton of room in this area. We'll remove the dryer and the windshield washer fluid, no compressor either, so a ton of more room over here. In terms of changes, I do want to clean up the vacuum lines. I'm not really a huge fan of that block anymore, or any of these lines. We'll use an EBC instead of the MBC. In terms of the idle valve, we'll probably yank that once we go to a different ECU. I have new motor mounts as well as a front snub mount, so a lot stiffer. Gearbox mounts as well. In terms of the turbo, at some point we'll probably upgrade that, but for now we'll probably just upgrade the injectors and run E85. I think that's about it under the hood. In the interior, I already removed the gauge cluster just because I am planning to flock the dash, and we'll also modify the area where the climate controls are since we no longer have AC or heat. In terms of the seats, I want to go something more period correct, probably some sort of 90s Recaros. For the sunroof, definitely want to delete that, as well as the headliner. Hopefully I could talk to a company like LRB and we'll maybe come up with some sort of fill for the sunroof. As you can see, I've removed all the back seat stuff over here. I do want to clean this up, and I do want to also relocate the battery completely inside of the trunk. Speaking of which, I am planning to put some sort of fuel cell back there and run in all new fuel lines for E85. Well, that pretty much sums up all of the items I want to do to the car. Let me know if you guys have any ideas and mention in the comments below. Right now, I'm actively on the hunt for a Haltech ECU. I do have to equip the car with a more conventional 60-2 trigger, just because the OEM Audi trigger isn't really understood by a lot of standalone ECU systems. I'm super excited about the wrap. I think the STW livery just looks awesome. So probably most excited about that, to be honest. But let me know if you guys are excited about this build as well. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.